is a good God. Can we say praise the Lord again? I want you to understand that in these times of crises, that the Lord Jesus Christ is the same. Here at Bethany Apostolic Church, we recognize that the Lord is sovereign. In fact, the Bible tells us in the book of Hebrews that he's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And I want you to know here at Bethany Apostolic Church, we believe that. We are in a crisis not only in our country, in our city, but also across the world. We are praying for our government. We are praying for those that are around him, that this crisis will come to a positive end. To those that are sick, we're praying for you. Those that have lost loved ones, we are praying for you. In Bethany Apostolic Church, we're encouraging our members at this particular time to stay in their homes. We will not be having church on the physical campus, but we will be having a virtual church, an E-Church, and you can certainly take opportunity to click in and dial in to our website. And this will be noted at the end of the service. We thank you today for having the opportunity to view in. This morning, I'd like to bring your attention to the book of 2 Timothy and chapter 1 and verse 7. The Bible says, "For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and love and a sound mind." I want you to know that when Timothy was going through his storm of life, when Timothy was going through the circumstances, seemingly there was no exit. And many times we are like Timothy, that we feel when difficulty is all around us and trouble, and we don't know what to do, and we think that circumstances are not going to change. But our dependency is upon God. Every now and then, we need someone to give us an encouraging word. And I want you to know, my brother and sister, as we look at this particular passage of Scripture this morning, that Timothy is no different from you and I. He was confronting issues and confronting things that cause trouble in his life. But now we find that God has sent somebody that loved him by the name of Paul. And I want you to know that every now and then, all of us need a Paul. Someone that will encourage us when we feel like that our back is against the wall. We feel like that we've done all that we know how to do. And many times we feel like we're being disconnected, we're being disassembled. But God has a word for us. I want you to know, my brothers and sisters, that you are not alone in this crisis. Isn't it a wonderful thing that we can see the goodness out of what seems to be so bad? Those of us that know how to pray, we take opportunity to find our prayer closet, no matter where it might be, that we might connect ourselves with God. Every now and then we need to look at ourselves and say, God, in spite of what is going on in our atmosphere, in our environment, Lord, you are still the same. Hallelujah, hallelujah. I feel something this morning. I feel the presence of the eternal God. I'm like you many times that when I don't know the outcome, when I cannot see for myself, I have to rely upon the faith that God has put inside of me, letting me know that weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. I want you to understand, my brother and sister, that many of us, we talk about what God is capable of doing, but in the time of crisis, do we have the capacity to stand firm and hold our heads up high and say, Lord, it's not about my story, but it's about God's glory. God can do some marvelous things in your life and in the world if we would only let Him. When crises come, it does not push us away from our God. When crises come, we do not lose our joy, But when crises come, we come closer to God. We see the capability of God. I don't know about you, but many times when I go back in the recesses of my mind and begin to pick out some of the scriptures and some of the ministry, some of the word that I've heard years ago, and it comes to me in a time when I need him. Can we say hallelujah to God? Well, my brother and sister, I want you to understand this morning that you are not alone. I want you to understand when you feel like the world is coming down on you, there's a God in heaven that's concerned about you. Not only about you, he's concerned about this whole world. Hallelujah, hallelujah. When we take opportunity this morning, my brother and sister, and begin to look at the narrative this morning, we find one by the name of Timothy. Historically, he would be the bishop of Ephesus, but he had to go through something. He had to be proved. He had to have some confidence in God, so when things that would come, he would have the ability to trust in his God, and God, in fact, would bring him through. We find that the Bible begins to speak to us as Paul began to speak to Timothy. The old scriptures that we would embrace when we were going through our personal storm. You know what I'm talking about this morning. I would hear someone in the church that would declare and said, there's no weapon formed against me. Hallelujah to God. Others would say, if God be for us, who can be against us? I want you to understand, my brother and sister, just because this is a crisis, there is no crisis with God. Just because the world is looking for our government to change particular things, somebody has to get down on their knees and pray. Have you heard the scripture where it says that men ought to always pray and not faint? I heard the word of God declare that the effectual fervent prayer of the righteous availeth much. We're not assuming that there is not difficulty. We're not assuming that there's not problems. We're not assuming that there's not a crisis across the world. But my brother and sister, somebody, somewhere, and somehow has to turn to God. A nation that is born, a nation that reveals